Good evening, welcome to the programme. So some good news tonight from Pakistan that all 8 people who were dangling in a cable car hundreds of metres above a mountainous ravine have been saved. 5 were rescued by helicopter, but tonight, after the air crews were grounded by dusk and high winds, the team completed that rescue using a zip line. The 6 children had been on their way to school with 2 adults in a remote and mountainous region in the north of the country when 2 cables snapped. Our Pakistan correspondent Caroline Davies picks up the story. Sorry, I don't think we have that report. Let me just fill in some of the details for you. All 6 children and 2 adults were rescued thanks to that zip wire rescue. There are the pictures here of the last people being brought to land. Caroline Davies spoke to us a short while ago when news of that rescue broke.
We have now just had confirmation that all of these individuals, this is 6 children and 2 adults, have now been brought safely back down. Now, this is obviously, I'm running in quickly to tell you this because we've literally just heard this news confirmed by the Interior Minister and then subsequently by people on the ground at the cable car site. We now know that those individuals are all off the cable car. The vast majority, of course, were rescued by locals and rescue workers who were taking them from the cable car using a zip wire. Initially we'd seen one rescue that had taken place with an army helicopter that had dropped a rope down and been able to take people out that way. One child was rescued that way, but the remainder through the zip wire system. Now, it seemed very difficult doing this with the helicopter because there were strong winds. There was a major concern about the draft and the wind that was being created by the helicopter's blades as well on this very precariously hanging cable car. And it seems now that even though it is late at night here, it is gone 11 o'clock at night here in Pakistan, but that the final individuals are now out of the cable car and are now safely and back on firm ground.
Caroline Davies there with her instant reaction to that rescue. We have dusted off her report. Let's play that for you.
Hanging over a perilous drop with just a rope to safety. As an army helicopter hovers over the cable car, a leap, then swept away to safety as the crowd cheers. This was the moment many hoped for, the first rescue after hours. Makeshift cable cars are common in the rural mountains of Pakistan, taking minutes over ravines, while roads take hours. Children were on their way to school when one cable snapped. At first, army helicopters couldn't rescue them. Buffeted by winds, scared the downwash from the blades could make the situation worse. On the ground, frustration. After the first rescue, saving the others inside became more complicated. As the light went, the helicopters left, and instead, locals and rescue officials used a zip line, pulling another child to safety.
Well, let's get some perspective on this with Jay O'Donnell. He's a former winchman with Cornwall and Devon Search and Rescue, ex-Royal Navy Search and Rescue. Thank you very much for being with us, Jay. Talk to me first of all about the early part of this rescue, because one of the difficulties for the Pakistani military was the downdraft from the helicopter at a time when they had these very high winds in that region.
Yeah, I mean, a massively challenging rescue from start to finish. It's great effort and a great outcome, but the aircraft side of things had so many challenges with the height of the aircraft, what it was operating at, and the engines that will be working at full tilt really to keep those aircraft in the air, not least the gusts of wind and of course the rotor downwash, which could have caused major issues for the rescue and the cable car itself. What is the challenge for the winchman in a position like that? It's a bit of an unknown. This is quite a unique job. I've done many different jobs from ships to cliffs to all sorts, but to go to a cable car that's dangling is quite unique. So there's many unknowns, and it would have meant a lot of planning had to have taken place. And of course, the dangers to the winchmen. How do you get to them? How do you keep them safe? How do you stop them coming out before you're ready? And of course, your own protection of the wire. If the winch wire creates any sort of friction on the cable itself, you could part the winch wire, and whoever's on the winch at the time could be at the bottom of a ravine. So a lot to think about.
Yeah, because I imagine, I mean, I can't imagine what they were going through just dangling by that wire. But one of the dangers, presumably, to the winchman is panic, that they jump before he's ready.
Yeah, jump, grab, and also everything in between. And we see this in rescues, especially at sea. If you're stuck on a rock or a ship and it's going down, you know, people don't react as you want them to and how you would expect them to. It's sort of every person for themselves, and so it's a real concern and something that you know the rescuer needs to think about to keep themselves safe.
There was a moment tonight where we thought 3 of the people, 2 of the children and the teacher, were going to be left behind, dangling there through the night because, of course, they couldn't get the aircraft off the ground, not in the darkness. Does it become a little bit easier for those on the zip lines if there are fewer people in the cable car?
I guess so. I mean, you've got less weight on the cable car, and you know, maybe it swings more or less depending on the strength of the winds. I mean, it's a fantastic effort, and I'd be really keen to see how they got the zip wire set up. And of course, there was many questions of why can't the aircrew fly at night? And of course, it depends on the equipment they've got and the training that they've had.
I'm interested that you say you're keen to see how they did this with the zip line. In rare instances like this, is there a situation where teams swap notes and you learn from one another how to do something like this?
Definitely, especially in the aviation community, we share a lot of information, especially incidents or preventable accidents and incidents, so that you learn from others' mistakes. And you know, it's key because it's such a dangerous area to work in. And I'd like to think the same of in these situations. Here in Cornwall and in fact all over the country, the Coast Guard search and rescue volunteers regularly train and do sort of rope systems to get up and down cliffs to people that are normally inaccessible. And at worst case scenario, you'd have to launch a helicopter to them. So similar methods are used in the UK, but this is quite special, having a zip line, and yeah, it's intriguing.
Yeah, incredible rescue. Good to start the programme with some good news. Jay O'Donnell, thank you very much indeed. Thank you.